people in the future.
There are no people.
There are no people in the future.
No people at all.
There are no people in the future.
Where did all my people go?
There are no people in the future.
Let me try my people call. Where are all my people? Where are all my people? I guess I'll fly away now.
Hey, everybody, welcome. It is Friday, August 27th. Yes, 2021. Welcome to Raging Chicken's Out to Coop podcast. This is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken. Each week, I talk to that motherlode of middle-aged millennial angst, Sean Kitchen, about the good, the bad, and the ugly in state and national politics. Breathe deeply, everybody, and strap in. Yes, everybody, we are streaming live right now on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, like the stream, and hit that bell so you know every time we go live. We got to check out all our other shows too as well. We've got our Monday Out the Coop live show. We got our Wednesday, the Wednesday show with Cyril Michaleko. You know, we've been on a little bit of a hiatus with Cyril. Cyril's been working like, I don't know, morning to night, like burning the candle both ends, however it might be. But we've been having some special shows for you too. We'll talk about that in a bit. On today's show, yes, the bombing at the Kabul airport in Afghanistan leaves at least 112 people dead and 111 injured. And that does include 13 U.S. service members. And that's the count as of going to air today, this morning. Florida is facing one of its worst, the worst COVID outbreak. Its worst COVID outbreak since the beginning of the pandemic, thanks to a governor stuck in a right-wing media fantasy land and the rapid spreading of the Delta variant. The Orlando area has begged residents to conserve water. Why, you might ask? Well, because there seems to be a shortage of liquid oxygen, you see. Yes, the oxygen, that liquid oxygen, which is normally being used to clean the water, is now needed by hospitals who are facing a shortage because so many people are going on ventilators. Yes, indeed. And more devastating news on the COVID front. I'm saying that in such a happy, peppy voice, which is a little bit weird. The go-to forecasting model, the University of Texas COVID-19 Modeling Consortium, says that, the U.S. is expected to see an additional 100,000 deaths by December 1st unless people start doing the basic things they need to do, like getting vaccinated, wearing freaking masks, social distancing, I'm ready to break. Sean will tell you that. I'm ready to break right about now. Anyways, of course, that's all happening. This hits extra hard as schools across the country send kids back to classrooms with a hodgepodge of safety plans passed by local school boards. Roll the dice. And for that fake concern about the safety of vaccines because it only had FDA kind of like temporary approval, emergency approval, the FDA fully approved the Pfizer vaccine now. So that's right, folks. It's official now. So what's your next excuse going to be? Huh? What's your reason for putting other people at risk? That's what I want to know. Well, maybe there's a solution, right? Look what they're doing in Texas. Why don't you go freaking, head on over to your local ag center and get some sheep dewormer and just chug that. Because that's safer than an FDA-approved vaccine. So just go to your ag center, right? You can sit down next to your cows and your sheep and you freaking chug the dewormer. What result has it? Well, let's look what happens in Texas. Oh yeah, Poison Control Center calls in Texas are up 550% after residents start taking ivermectin. That's right, the dewormer, in order to fight COVID. Oof. And in other news, evacuation orders are being given to residents and visitors of the Lake Tahoe region as the Caldor fire, yes, another one, has grown to more 213 square miles and is only 12% contained. That's one heck of an end to your summer vacation. And here in Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Legislative Reapportionment Commission, the people who do the gerrymandering, yep. Well, they took the first huge step to ending prison gerrymandering. prison gerrymandering? Prison gerrymandering, Sean?
Yes, prison gerrymandering.
You heard that right, folks.
That is a thing.
I just got to check because who the heck knows these days, right? House Minority Leader Joanna McClinton's resolution ending the practice passed 3-2 after years of Republicans ignoring McClinton's legislation in the General Assembly. This is what happens when you put people like that in leadership positions.
And
go McClinton.
This is only possible to the 2015 Supreme Court races that we won.
There you go. Excellent. A long simmering feud between Senator Mastriano and Senate President Jake Corman. I'm sorry. Over the ongoing audit saga boiled over into the public and has been lasting all week. I mean, this is like, I swear to God, this is something that's like, it's so freaking comically insane. I can't even, whatever. Okay. Ugh. On the other side of the aisle, Governor Tom Too Little Too Late Wolf pleads with the PAGOP to call the legislature back into session to pass the mandate. The mask mandate. Please, GOP, come back. I should have let you go. I love you. The GOP leadership just took a second, saw the call on the phone. It took a second step away from their pool floaties and backyard cookouts to say, nah. Because that had about a 0% chance of happening. Thanks, Tom Wolf. But thank you for saying the right thing. And the Pembridge School District, yes, my school district, under the leadership of Board Vice President Joan Cullen, because, yes, even though she's vice president, she's pulling all the strings like our own little backyard Putin. Yep, they shot down the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Curricular Initiatives. That's after several years of work by the community and parents and teachers and administrators. With one strike, nope, we're not going to do that because critical race theory. Right? And that's several years worth down the road. And now the ADL, like the Anti-Defamation League, right, and the PA and NAACP are publicly condemning the school board's move. And after several articles in big market PA news outlets, even the national media is starting to get clued in to how far off the rails the Penrith the school board is. Did I mention that the board also chose to ignore all medical expert advice and go with a mask optional policy? Once again, roll the dice. Oh, boy. Well, good news from Kutztown. Not. Kutztown University's presidential tin man, Ken Hawkinson, and his HR advisor show what it looks like to treat people like inline items on a balance sheet. Yeah, if you caught my special out to Coop on Wednesday, you already know that a faculty member who just had a heart transplant is being forced to go back to in-person teaching despite his CDC-indicated high-risk status. See the theme today? Roll the dice. Right? But, in positive news, because I'm told by my administration that I should be speaking positively about what happens at Kutztown University. In other news, KU broke new ground on a Mallet research center. That's right. A 13,250 square foot building for mallets. That's a great use of that money. Can't wait to smell that black mold when I head back into Lytle Hall here, but I'll know that they've got a Mallet research center on the way. That'll carry me through. I'm sorry, I told you I'm a little off today. On today's last call, we don't have no idea. We got no plan. We're going to come back. We're going to tell you whatever the heck's on our minds at that point. Maybe some good news about something. I don't know. We shall see. Anyways, that's what we got. Oh, if you're looking for other progressive talk, tune in to Rick Smith Show on Free Speech TV this and every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. You can also check out his daily live stream, right? We're at 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, wherever you get your streams, right? And his brand new show on WBAI out of New York on Saturdays. You can get all that information by heading on over to ricksmithshow.com. I'm going to give you all the programming notes right there. It's phenomenal. And you got to check out Sisters of the Night Caucus podcast if you have not already. They're doing some live streaming now, which is freaking awesome. But you can find their podcast on Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your podcast. These amazing PA women stirring the political cauldron behind the podcast rock the house, you know, and they know where the bodies are buried. Make sure you follow them also on Twitter at The Night Caucus. That's at The Night Caucus on Twitter. And attention gamers, the Game Inn, that's with 2 N's. The Game Inn is a Quakertown-based black family-owned gaming store. They're friends of the show, and they've got everything from retro N64s to the latest consoles. Video games for all platforms, loads of collectibles, action figures, Funko Pops, you name it. And as with that back to school, with or without masks, right? Your kid gets an A, right? Despite everything the school districts are doing to stay in their way. Well, your kid gets an A, they get a discount in kind of their gaming choice. Head on and get all the information over at thegamein.com. Check them out on Twitter at thegamein. Again, that's with 2 N's. Looking for something special, drop an email at thegameinpa@gmail.com. And a special shout out once again goes to Jonathan Mann, who wrote our intro song, There Are No People in the Future. Check out all his great stuff on his YouTube page and follow him on Twitter at thegamein. That's with 2 N's, at thegamein on Twitter. Yes, and a huge shout out goes to our 2 new members. We got 2 new patrons that kind of signed up this week. Thank you to Steve and thank you for Dan for becoming patrons this week. I can't tell you, as things are ramping up and getting more crazy, I can't tell you how important it is that we are kind of going to be strong and positioned to kind of bring you this pull no punches reporting that we do here at Raging Chicken as we move into the fall, and we're moving back to actually expanding once again some of our writing. So I'll have news on that in the coming weeks. I should also tell you that on Monday, on Out to Coop Live, this coming Monday, we've got Kirsten Zolfo coming on. She is the PA. She's basically kind of a Bucks County PA Indivisible, and she is the PA Indivisible Legislative Chair. She'll be coming on, and we're going to be talking about Brian Fitzpatrick in the PA1. Yes, Brian Fitzpatrick, the moderate, the one that everybody loves. Right? From unions to environmentalists to conservatives, they all love Fitzpatrick. Farmers for Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick has earned himself this reputation as being this kind of moderate and reasonable Republican. Oh, we're going to dig into his record and say is that deserved? And does he deserve endorsements from traditionally progressive organizations? We'll do that on Monday. That's Kirsten Zolfo on Monday on Out to Coop Live at 7 p.m. Look, we want a progressive future, folks. We need progressive media. Support Pull No Punches, homegrown progressive media today. Become a patron of Raging Chicken for as little as $5 a month. Just go to patreon.com/rcpress. Right? We're here for the fight, but we need you. Become a patron for the price of a good beer once a month. Help keep the media in the movement and movement in the media. Become a patron of Raging Chicken. Go to patreon.com/rcpress today. Great. So, Sean, look, I'm going to apologize for the extended intro, but man, as you know, I'm a little bit worked up today. I've hit a certain kind of wall. What can I say?
I could tell. I mean, I think we're all like hitting that point. We're 18 months into the pandemic. I mean, I will say, I think there's like some good news you forgot to mention. The Biden's $3.5 trillion infrastructure package started moving through the House this week, and the mod squad got shut down pretty quickly.
That is good news. Yep, and Biden gave all the credit to Pelosi, of course. Just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, so...
I've got a wet blanket for anything you could throw at me today, Sean.
Oh no! I mean, I'm not going to disagree. I'm just saying, like,
no, that is good news. That is actually huge news.
I mean,
look, because like we're still. Go ahead. Sorry.
Like with all the Afghanistan bullshit that's going on, and how like the blob is continuing to like, try to send us back to Afghanistan for like 20 more years of war. We were really like, Brett had really good tweets. Like everyone's yelling about Afghanistan, but like we might be watching one of the most like significant pieces of legislation in our lives get gunned down by like a rogue group of like 9 Democratic House Dem members.
Yeah.
So we'll see like how much, how consequential this legislation is, but like maybe like pumping this type of money right into the economy will start like, I don't know, cooling down the temperature a bit. We'll see.
I don't know. We'll see, man.
We got to do something. We need we need this New Deal type spending. We need to be spending money. We need to be getting people to work. And, like I feel like a lot of the stuff that we're seeing right now comes from the wealth that all these fucking billionaires accumulated. I mean, all the richest billionaires, fucking exploded in wealth in Pennsylvania the past year. So
Yeah. Look, I mean, here's the thing about that infrastructure bill, right? People want to talk about the politics of it and what the impact is going to be. Is it going to, change Republicans' minds? All this other kind of stuff. And those are all important questions. I don't want to minimize them, but let's be absolutely crystal clear about that infrastructure bill, right? We're talking about absolutely essential investments, right? We're talking about like the only legislation that is going to get through this Congress that is actually going to take significant steps towards like mitigating our impacts when it comes to climate change. We're talking about like a crumbling kind of infrastructure, and I don't mean simply just roads and bridges. I'm talking about,
there's parts of Pennsylvania that are fucking on wire, like telephone wire internet still. Like,
we're talking about building out the kind of like internet infrastructure.
Broadband.
Exactly. We're talking about, so instead of having to go to get onto the internet, you'll actually be able to kind of do what people in kind of more populated areas do.
I remember like talking to someone and just like, hey, don't call me because it's like I'm using my internet once. Like literally, and they were in Pennsylvania. Like this is 2015, 2013. Like this shit's still going on.
But there's also I was going to say there's like really transformational stuff in there too as well when we're talking about, for lack of a better word, our carrying infrastructure. Right. You're talking about, you're talking about education. You're talking about nursing homes. You're talking about like medical care. Right. Things that are like elder care, for example, preschool, all this stuff, which our society has let wither on the vine for the past 40 years. Right. That is in this infrastructure, this reconciliation package that passed the House. And, now it's got to make its way through all these committees in order to kind of like move forward. But they can do this on a small minority vote. And it's going to be really, really like it could be potentially transformative if they get this through.
Yeah. So that's going on. I mean, so that was the good news this week, I guess. I mean, I guess we should go like just off into the abyss. I mean,
what the hell? I'm already there.
The Delta, like everything that's been going on with the Delta variant, this latest like surge across the country is like frustrating. It's annoying. It's completely preventable. It's something that should not have happened. Like from states lifting mask mandates, CDC lifting mask mandates back in July. We were close to like, here in Pennsylvania, we were down to like 0 fucking hospital beds.
Yeah.
Now we've gone up to like 1,600 people on beds in the past month. I know someone who was in the hospital this past week for non-COVID related illnesses, and like they literally were sent to a pediatrics ward because all the fucking hospital beds were taken up in everything, people in hallways. We're going back to this. Like this is happening here, right here in Pennsylvania. I feel like we're only we're a couple weeks away from seeing like all these headlines here in PA of like so and so COVID denier, a vaccine denier dies of the Delta variant because of this.
Yep.
Like the fucking what's going on in Florida right now is just like a failed state.
Totally. It's
failed state. Like
it's devastating.
Like we were talking about this like on I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Is this how like it felt like when the Aztecs, the Mayans, or like the Romans fell? Like just like when it's just pure societal collapse. Like it just seems like it's like we're like off the fucking rails right now with this, and we should not be 18 months into this like pandemic.
No, I was talking to somebody that kind of a friend of mine, like, and one of my son's good friends. Anyways, I was talking to him about it yesterday. I hadn't seen him, in person, in over 18 months, and it's like, and we're kind of catching up a little bit, and. This is kind of, one of the kind of more upbeat people I know, right? And we're just talking about this. I don't know. It feels like our social fabric is like completely threadbare and worn through, and if we're talking about another 100,000 deaths, or we're talking about other kind, the expansion of this kind of collapse. I mean, I don't know how our social fabric doesn't completely rip apart. I mean, I don't know how you come back from something like this. And I do have a lot of hope. And when you brought up that infrastructure bill, and I'm glad you did put in the good news, because I do think that's what part of the hope that's there. But this seems really dire.
Yeah. I mean, from like general observations, like these people are still out there going to these rallies and CRT and school board stuff. But, even in here in Harrisburg, a lot of this stuff, I mean, like there was a vote audit rally for Mastriano. Only like 20 people showed up. So it just seems like a lot of these people are getting back to work, and it seems like that was huge. Obviously, like we're talking about fascists here, so we're not excusing them for their behaviors whatsoever. But maybe like something like this bill, this infrastructure bill, cools down the temperature a little bit. By just
I'm hoping
pumping money out there, and but the stuff that what's happening in Florida, what's happening in Texas, the fucking fact that people are taking horse dewormer,
you've got a proven vaccine which is going to keep you from dying.
I mean, this isn't funny. We're laughing at it, but it's not funny. It's like end times, gallows.
Yeah,
humor.
gallows humor. I mean, seriously. I mean,
this is people are getting sick from this. We have a huge problem with right-wing media infrastructure in this country. The fact that people are taking fucking horse dewormer. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, like we were saying, is poison control center calls are up 550%. Oops, sorry about that. 550% in Texas. Right?
I mean, and this could have been preventable. I mean, all these deaths now, 100,000, all of this could have been preventable.
Yep.
But the stuff now, this last surge could have been preventable by people just getting the vaccines. But no, we've had a Republican Party that just completely mainstreamed these fucking lunatics into society. I mean, we were talking about this on the phone yesterday with the school board stuff. We're just mainstreaming these people, and they're now a fabric of the Republican Party, of American, mainstream American politics, because because of the Republicans mainstreaming these people and the conservative movement doing this, the whole entire fucking thing.
Absolutely. And it's this is what happens when we let things go for long enough. And I don't know. I don't want to get into I told you so politics and things like this, but I mean, there's been a lot of us who've been trying to draw attention to this problem for I would say at least to the beginning of Raging Chicken back in 2011. Right. And well before then, but kind of trying to kind of raise the alarm about, if we let this right-wing media structure continue without having any kind of countervailing force, without having kind of a significant investment in either hard cut journalism locally, right. And progressive media, then this is where we lead. And, now we're here. And, the hard part now is, this is not about, you can't just flick a switch and change it. Right. I mean, we're
this thing is just boiled over.
Well, yeah. And we're in the work of turning the steamship now.
Yeah.
And that's true in climate. That's true in terms of our, like I was saying, our social fabric. That's true in terms of our educational systems, in terms of our medical systems. That's true in terms of our economy and how we've invested in these billionaires. I mean, right across the board. I mean, now we're in the business of the unsexy work of turning the steamship, right? That's been going full bore on, right? And you have you have different kinds of deniers up top. You had the people that were denying climate or denying the importance of equity or anything like this. And you had the other kinds of deniers on the more kind of Democratic left side, where the Republicans will come to their senses. the fever will break, right? That's a whole other kind of denialism, right? Not wanting to actually grapple with what was actually happening. And then here we are. So, it takes me no pleasure in kind of saying that, but, and in the midst of all that, and, I've got a couple, I want to talk about Afghanistan for a minute, because, again, we just had this bombing, this attack that killed at least 112 people. 13 of those were service people. Most of the people that were killed, once again, were Afghans, right? And that number is expected to grow, by the way. This was just the number I had before we were coming here. And what Sean was alluding to before is that, now you've got all these people from the national security state and things that are going to look as a way to get us back into that war. And it's devastating that those people lost their lives and that terrorism continues here. But now we're going to see the full ramping up of the security state. And again, we saw this with Biden's speech yesterday when he came out and basically, we're going to hunt you down and make you pay. Right? That's what, I hate to put it this way, that's what got us into this. And, if you listen to my interview with Ben Tupper this past Monday on Afghanistan, again, he served in Afghanistan. He's worked there as a volunteer, as a kind of as an activist on schools and things like this too as well. And he was the first to say, sometimes boomsticks aren't the solution. And this is the consequence of this 20-year war. This is the consequence of American empire. And there's different directions we can go right now. And none of them.
I feel like it's all this whole entire week, like we've seen this myth of American exceptionalism just get shot down.
Yeah.
And people just losing their fucking minds over it. Like that, in my opinion, like that's what this whole entire week has been. Like the last week and a half. Like there are people who cannot come to grips that like we lost a war because we're American. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yes, exactly.
Just like it is the denial in that is just like fucking is hilarious, is almost amazing. Like it's just, you're seeing it in, Democratic circles, you're seeing it in Republican circles, you're war hawks and stuff like that. No, we're not like an exceptional country, and we just freak the fuck out every time we are told we're not like exceptional. Like this goes back to teaching critical race theory in classes and
right.
stuff like that. Because, like we tell people like, we have done bad things in the past, or we have not won every single war.
Right. Well,
it's just amazing. Like, I don't see us going back to Afghanistan. I just think that's bluster and talk from Biden, but like, we're not going back. Like, there's just, and I don't think I don't see us going into another like full scale war like this.
No, we're going to use drones. We're going to use drones, and we're going to use special forces, and we're going to do all this covert nonsense.
Yeah.
Right. And look, again, that's the cycle all over again. Right. That's the cycle that brings us back to really
that Obama
and
master.
Before, and from the 70s, and again in the 90s. Right. It's the same cycle. Like, look, this is one of the things that I was thinking a lot about Michael Brooks again this week when it comes to Afghanistan is like, Michael Brooks, again, I know that a lot of you already know this already, but Michael Brooks, was the co-host of the Majority Report, had his own show that was just taken off called Michael Brooks Show, and he died suddenly last year. And, Michael Brooks, I think, like, was so keen into kind of talking about the absolute importance of rekindling internationalism on the left. And it doesn't mean that you can ignore the nation, right? But really having to say, look, we have to, really significantly start thinking about kind of building these kind of international structures of solidarity and work, and begin to rethinking like what was post-empire world looks like. Because, this is what empire is. This is what it happens. And I think, Emma Vigeland was saying yesterday, so, in a modern society, right, the resorting to kind of like to war has got to stop. Right. It is barbaric at this point. And look,
it's amazing, like the fucking like depravity of these war correspondents, like, and these news outlets were just like airing this shit. Like, it's almost like they just want there to be a war so they could be in that conflict zone. Like, at
it
this
does
point,
feel like that, and I know, and it's like, and I hate to even think that that's the case.
I mean,
but-
like, I've thought about this. Like, if I had a chance to do like some conflict photography, I would do it, but like, I wouldn't cheer on a situation to happen. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just seems like these people are just cheering on this stuff to happen because they're making millions of dollars. I didn't realize that Friedman was married to a billionaire heiress. Yeah, like, just like,
because of course he is, right?
yes. I mean, like, it just now, like, that just makes all the fucking more sense.
Right.
Like when his sorry, like with his suck on this comments and stuff like that. Like, and it's also been amazing, really, like lately watching some of the younger co-hosts that Emma Vinglin has been bringing on.
Yep.
And they're like, yeah, I was listening to like Sam Cedar when I was like in high school, like a kid in the car. It's just like, but no, I mean, it's just amazing. Like, you know, he's been really like the main consistent voice in the progressive movement for like 20 years now.
Yeah.
On this stuff, and it's just like, yeah, it's just it's just insane how people like Friedman and others were able to like just, and they're still doing it, and just, there's just been no accountability.
Yeah, and you know what? And we're getting to this point where too as well, where there's enough distance from the Iraq War, right? From the initial Iraq War, from this huge launch of neoliberalism, the security state that came in the aftermath of 9/11, and I mean, because look, 9/11 was what 20 years ago now.
Yeah, I don't know how
Right.
I don't know how my generation, like millennials, and like the Gen Z. And maybe even like Gen Xers can justify supporting another war, like broad base, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I see there's like two directions here. Like on one hand, like say your generation in Gen Z, right, doesn't have that kind of visceral experience, right, of kind of like, oh my God, this was attack, and having kind of that kind of traumatic moment in American history, right? I mean,
like, I feel like most
wait, let me say but the other issue there too as well is that there's also this we have this disease of historical forgetting about remembering these people, what they did, and to the lead up to the Iraq War, right? And these people who lied, and this kind of national security state folks that would kind of going through. There's enough distance for that a lot of people don't know that history, so there's the opportunity to repeat the cycle. And so on the positive side is that you've got thank God for the kind of organizing that's been going on, especially ever since Trump won the election. I think that's ramped everything right up. But man, watching some of the reporting on Afghanistan, like I said to you, is like I had to turn off the media because I'm like, holy crap, I feel like I'm having flashbacks to like the early 2000s, late 90s.
And I feel like there's enough of a left media now present to not let those lies percolate into another full-scale war. Like, you know what I mean?
I hope so.
I mean, it felt like, the left was able to flex a bit, like with Obama and some of the stuff with Syria later in his term. But like, there was just no infrastructure 20 or 30 years ago, like 25 years ago, once these things happened. So, but.
Yeah. So there we have it. So this is going to just be, just strap in for the what's happening with Afghanistan, everybody, because there's going to be what I would encourage. My piece of advice for anybody who's out there listening is to don't get wrapped in to the war drums, right? Because it's going to be blasting from CNN, it's going to be blasting from MSNBC, it's going to be blasting from Fox News, it's going to be right across cable news. Right, you're going to see the kind of the hot takes on that, right, that are going to be all about freaking a bunch of testosterone, really, frankly, and kind of like wanting the kind of
knock some heads around,
right? I mean, just kind of like that is the kind of response. And if we could please, for once, learn from our history that is not the road. As much as it sells political points in a given moment, you know, because people gets their juices flowing. That is, we've got to not do that. So just strap in for it, because it's going to be, you know, I remember, you know, Sam Cedar said this a while ago too, but I remember, you know, after 9/11, like I remember when people would kind of say, hey, let's step back, being like yelled as being called a traitor, right, in public places, right? After 9/11, I was teaching at George Mason University, right, and I remember when and that's in Fairfax County, Virginia, which is one of the most diverse counties in the country, lots of international students and things like this. And I remember some of my students, right, women who wore the hijab, for example, who were thrown off buses on their way to school and called terrorists, right? Thrown to the ground. And when I arrived back to school the first day after that bombing, driving past the Pentagon, seeing it still smoldering, there was basically a big chalk drawing on the ground outside the building that I taught in, which was basically a Muslim lynching drawing, right? So I remember that stuff and how that kind of, and I remember that when people's juices got going, it was like, it got more racist, it got more brutal. And any time that you tried to kind of like, say, put on the brakes before we kind of march to war, just to kind of get our blood, whatever. We got to be careful here, folks. But it's devastating to see, again, hundreds of people, or at least 100 people plus people killed already, U.S. service members that are dying, and it's going to be a painful period. So, anyways, you know, part of because we have this kind of upsurge in COVID, and part of because we see this, you know, craziness on, like, you know, people like drinking poison and all that kind of stuff, and we've got this you know, the situation in Afghanistan goes on. You know, we're missing a whole lot of stuff, like things like, you know, that's why I put in the things about the fire and the Caldor fire out in California, basically saying, hey, if you're in the Lake Tahoe region, you better start evacuating, because the world is still on fire. Right? Climate change is still happening, right? That all the more reason that we get this infrastructure bill passed. So let's not shift our gears too much. We can do multiple things at once here, folks. So anyways, anything on the national level, Sean, that you want to kind of throw in?
No, nothing really.
I
don't have anything else.
All right, sounds good. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get into some of the stuff that's happening right here in PA. I want to remind you that you can become a patron of this show and help support this work by going to patreon.com/rcpress. You can become a patron for as little as $5 a month. We'll be back right after this real quick break.
Where are all my people? Where are all my people?
Well, Sean, man, you know, it's August, and here in Pennsylvania, that hasn't kind of stopped any of the craziness in the state, of course. But there's kind of stuff that is happening here in PA. So why don't you take it away? What you got?
So one of the more, I guess, before we get into the crazy,
Yeah.
over the past week that has, like, you know, spilled out into public and everywhere. One of the really good things that people should be paying attention to is that the Pennsylvania Legislative Reapportionment Commission, which has typically been like dominated by 5 white dudes making political lines since like the 1960s.
Right, it used to be the gerrymandering commission, pretty much.
It is, yes. So actually, like, I learned a lot about this commission and the history of it by going to this meeting the other day. Didn't think I would learn a lot. You know, smoked a little before I went there.
Of course you did.
Yes, because it was gonna be bored out of my fucking mind. But I was like going back to school and learning. Pretty much like so this commission passed. We'll get into the resolution first, but then I'll go into the commission. So the resolution they passed ended prison gerrymandering. It's something that House Minority Leader Joanna McClinton has been working on for years as a representative. It's something that the Republicans have ignored, and it's something that can get addressed through the gerrymandering process, the map making process. So,
the mapping. So gerrymandering and mapping, we can distinguish those things, right? So
yeah. So prison gerrymandering, what that is you say you have 25% of the state's incarcerated population comes from the city of Philadelphia, but most of the prisons in the state are in rural areas not near Philadelphia. So county prisons and stuff like that, state-owned prisons. They are in more rural areas.
Yep.
So most of the prisons are, a good chunk of the prisons outside are also like urban populations, because of our racist prison system. So what this is, this will count the people at the prison in those counties. So say like Elk County has a population of like 7,000 people.
And about 7,000 elk too, if I
and like probably like 20,000 elk. No, but like so Elk County has like 7,000 people but they also have a prison that has a couple thousand people in the prison. Like those prisoners would get counted in Elk County and not in their home area of Philadelphia or like where else. So it's a way of like reallocating funds, I guess, and also like reapportioning lines with this stuff. It brings more balance back to urban districts, like urban areas like Philadelphia, and it reduces the power, pretty much like the oversized power of, you have prisoners in your district and you benefit by having them there because that's where they're stuck at. And
so let's be clear about this point too as well. And this is why this is also such a racial justice issue, right? Because as Sean said,
you have rural white communities benefiting off of the imprisonment of black people from Philadelphia,
literally on the backs of black and brown folks from Philadelphia, right? Who are disproportionately imprisoned because of our racist system. Right. So that's a dual shot. Like, number one, you have a racist prison system, racist kind of like, police system in the state, sending more black and brown people to prison. And then they're shipped off into these white districts and giving them disproportionate power, right, in terms of the allocation of representation. Right. It's so critical.
So the commission, this resolution passes and ends this practice. Which was one of the more fascinating things was listening to the commissioner, Mark Nordenberg, who used to be the president or chancellor at University of Pitt. He got selected for this. So very academic, old white guy droning on for about 20 minutes. And you didn't know like which way he was going. He had some issues with the process, but like he eventually said, we can't wait another 10 years. Even though there's some issues with the process, we are going to work on this and we're going to get it done. I support this resolution. So that happens. So they support the resolution, and then the legal that they can do this stems back to Pennsylvania's constitutional convention that happened like in the 1960s. So before the LRC was created, like the maps were made by the caucuses, just as the congressional maps were made. They were made in committee, came out committee, went on the floor, passed, signed by the governor. So that obviously was not great. Then you had the court. So you have a somewhat better system with the LRC made after that commission, and basically said the legal argument was that the commission allows for this, and there's no statutes stopping us from doing this, or there's no constitutional issue stopping us from doing this. So it passes. And I mean, the difference between this year and like the past, commissions, you have two women on it for the first time. This is literally something that's been dominated by old white men since like 1970.
Here you go.
And each decade since. The Nuremberg, Kim Ward came out against this resolution, pretty much gave like, well, they're prisoners and they don't have any rights, so fuck them type speech. But that was pretty much like the gist of her speech, when it boils down to. But having the Clinton on there and not having an old white dude like Frank Dermody leading the caucus, you don't know if something like this would have passed, like with this. So there's some good stuff with that. Yeah, and so I mean, it's more the wonkier things that happened this week in Harrisburg.
Well, and what this is a good example of too, as well. It might be wonkier and stuff, but also shows you. It also shows you when you actually, just because you're in the minority doesn't mean that you actually can't fight for things and get things done.
And it also shows you the importance of winning the Supreme Court races back in 2015, because Democrats controlled the Supreme Court. We have Mark Nuremberg, who was appointed by the Democratic court. So this is the first time Democrats have ever held control of this process, because it's the first time we've controlled the courts through this process. So, I mean, like, this is something that, yeah. So this is pretty good. I guess we can move on to the fun stuff.
Yeah. So I think it's this as we move into the fun stuff, I think we can lead with an oldie but goodie, Sean. You are an idiot. Take us away.
Yeah, so we did our podcast on Thursday. Friday, the following day, a series of, well, that morning or that evening, Mastriano was giving interviews and just like really, if you ever noticed Mastriano, one of the first things he does with people, like when he's going after them, he's so insecure as a man, he attacks their physical appearance. Like one of the first things he goes,
it's weird. It's so weird.
I mean, he must be extremely insecure about himself in some way or another, because he just goes off railing on people's like physical appearances. He'll call a journalist, like there was a journalist he called making fun of their weight earlier this year and a bunch of stuff because they were writing stories on him. He always he went after Lou Barletta's teeth, like first line of attack, which kind of like dead joke at this point, but whatever.
It is just weird. It is so weird. It is like, so weird.
Yeah. So last week he did a Facebook Live and he attacked an unnamed senator who sweats a lot and just say he sweats all the time. Just like
he's very sweaty.
Sweaty. but no, like it's so like. And Andy Hoover puts out a really good tweet saying, this is a really good way to I've been in Harrisburg for 20 years, like a really good way to see your way out of anything within a couple of weeks. So within a quick time, because, people like Wagner and Mastriano don't last long up here. And so next day, Thursday, press releases go out. Jay Corman basically calls Mastriano lazy, grifter, grifting off the vote audit process, and like only he alone can do this, and like the back and forth ensues, and it pretty much like turns into a dick measuring contest at some point in all this. And then what's also funny is like they then appoint Chris Dush to lead the audits, which is just like. That's a whole nother story, but like so he appoints Dush. Corman appoints Dush. Corman's like main lobbyist, Zaborny consultant, is like literally responding to fucking troll accounts with like less than 20 followers the whole entire time. And
oh my god!
And then there was an audit the vote thing in the Capitol on Monday that I went to. Posted some great pictures, and literally like the summation of this like vote audit rally from these audit the vote people. Basically said there's only one true person that can do this, one godly person that can do this, and that is Doug Mastriano and Doug Mastriano alone. So
that was, I gotta say, it was like, that was, you're just watching this go down and you're like,
So like,
Wait, just one interjection there at this point. This is just kind of like purely, message. Well, I don't know what would you call this, but the fact that they appoint Chris Dush, right, as the person to come in, this should be like that signal, right? Just if you had any moment when when Corman went after Mastriano and kind of kicked him off, like if any part of you at that point said like, oh, the Republicans are finally coming to their senses. Right? The immediate appointment of Chris Dush after that should be like, oh no, that's not the case.
I mean, I think like, so Dush is problematic because he's like really fucking crazy. He's probably crazier than Mastriano. Like he's Mastriano without the Spurs. Is what Jay just says.
Oh god.
But I mean, like always making Nazi references, like how he's victimizing himself, like they're treating us as Nazis. Like, I mean, he made a Nuremberg reference one time at a rally.
I remember
recently,
that,
yeah. Just nowhere, just like casually, like so like all of that. Yeah, I mean, like he wanted to impeach the Supreme Court. He wanted to his Senate race. He got like $400,000 from Jeffrey Yass and like the fucking Commonwealth Foundation related PACs, like all that type of stuff, just to win. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, this is where it bleeds over. It's almost like it's funny how like the religious connotations are here too, like the Christian white nationalism. Like Doug Mastriano is chosen by God to do
Of course.
So that's it. Like, and that's how it's just going down. Like, so
this is where I start rocking. Because it's just like, because of course he is.
I mean, like, and then like Mastriano's like, I was a colonel, I was in the army for 20 years. How you disrespect me like that? Like,
he does this. I mean, like, look, I mean, I'll admit, I have not watched all of his off the hook Facebook Live stuff, but I've seen enough of them, and it's like he does this other thing too. It's like he starts kind of like getting uncomfortable like this when he does, and he stops looking at the camera. He starts looking down, and he's like, he just says he's like he feels like he's going to blow, right? And he's got this way about him where he tries to talk in this really calm voice, right? Like, or low key, like he's like being self-effacing almost, but it's just like ready to erupt.
Yeah.
Right?
And I don't see these like audits happening. I think what Corman's doing now is just complete damage control. Because like you think about it, Mastriano, Logan made a good point, has a following of like 60,000 people on Twitter, 120,000 people on Facebook, while Corman has like 6,000 followers on Facebook. Like, so Mastriano has like the echo chamber, controls the echo chamber. And I think what they're doing is just damage control about this. I don't see the audits happen. I don't see them like, I just see them like they're just sucking up so hard to Trump where they have to like just say shit and hope it goes away.
Yeah, we'll see.
Which it's not, but
we just don't know. I'm like, really, I'm not making any predictions about this because I've been alive for the past 5 years.
I mean, like they said there was going to be a committee meeting this week and it was going to be voted out, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, but it's August, and like the pressure has not ramped up yet on how this all plays out in electoral politics.
I mean, they're having like a prayer vigil for Mastriano in October.
Oh my god.
So I guess we'll have to get Zach back down here.
Oh yeah, definitely for the prayer vigil. Maybe we'll get some haircuts where we're at it. There we go. I love that picture. Anyways, I'm gonna try not to go off the rails here. Just like look, I want to say, I said this on Twitter. I'm going to say this here too as well, is that, Tom Wolf came out this week and he basically said, look, everyone was on recess, basically calling to the Republican legislature, said, please come back into session, right? So we can pass a mask mandate because we've got a serious crisis here. And you remember, because of our last election, right? And because of the way that our polity works, right? There was a what do you call it? A ballot initiative that was passed that basically stripped Governor Wolf of his ability to enact emergency orders for something like masking. So now it's in the hands of the legislature. So now Governor Wolf, because people voted to take that power away from him, right? Because that happened, took the power away from him. It depends on the legislature. So now Wolf is saying, okay, you're in recess. You need to come back and pass this because the numbers are going crazy and COVID and blah, blah, COVID and blah, blah, blah. Right? And I'm just like, okay, look, yes, that's the right thing that the legislator needs to pass this stuff right now, but they're on freaking recess. There was a 0% chance that the legislature was going to come back into session. So while it feels good that the governor said, we need to do this, and that, yes, like, look, it's on the Republicans now, it's absolutely materially insignificant. He should have been again, I don't want to put all on Wolf here, but like, should have been, this was something that we saw coming, and he refused to address this. The time to have the political fight was when those people were still in Harrisburg. I am sorry. Saying it now when some school districts are already in session and the rest of them go back on Monday. To say it now, it feels like a slap in the face. And, look, I 100% recognize how absolutely critical it has been to have a Democrat in the governor's office. And the fact that Wolf is gone and he's vetoed legislation that could have made this horrific than it is right now. Everything from like abortion rights to schooling to the racist nonsense. I totally get it. And I will always give him credit for that stuff. But there's no stakes for him politically. He's not going to be running for office again. He's done. And so what does it cost him to fight good fights? Nothing. Other than his personal comfort or his desire to get back to cabinet making? I don't know. But his legacy is going to be doing nothing and not fighting to keep people safe in his last term. Instead, making pronouncements and selling off a good chunk of the state system. There you go. Thank you. So I will join in those folks who will say thank you for Governor Wolf for saying the right thing about what we should do. But I will not forget this either. That when people were calling on Wolf to fight, to do what's right because the school's year was coming, he was silent. So, thank you, no thank you. So, anyways, I'm going to stop there. In other news, here in my backyard, the Penridge School District, Monday night, of course, you had school board meeting, and it was one of my colleagues, Colleen, got up and spoke, and she got about, 15 seconds into her statements before some dude dressed in a blue button-up shirt was yelling Marxist at her, right? Because she said she taught college. To which Colleen turned around she turned around to this guy and said, like, I spent the last 20 years teaching over 5,000 teenagers and you think that's going to derail me? Keep going. Right? Which is great. But anyways.
The school board stuff that's happening, like, we don't even have this, but like in Bucks County.
Dude, I just can't.
The fucking militia group, the fact that kudos to like
Cyril.
the activists.
Cyril and the activists, I'm telling you.
For getting them back down like that. I mean, like,
they were like, we're just going to have a picnic. Now we got to cancel it. Right? Which is great. Yeah, we're gonna have to take that up another. I could go off on that. So let me just say this.
Go ahead, because
No,
I got
go ahead.
things to say about the Bucks County stuff.
All I want to say about this is like, you know, so basically what happened at that meeting, like the end of it. So there has been this ongoing debate because you've heard us talk about critical race theory, the nonsense that has been going on with the critical race theory stuff that's being kind of beaten from right-wing media, and it's kind of making its way into school boards, and down in school boards it comes to a head on these DEI initiatives, or diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. We're basically saying we'll revisit our curriculum, make sure that our schools are welcoming to all kids, right? That's basically essentially what it is, right? So, and there's been a couple of years they've been working on this in the Penridge School District. It's been administrators and teachers and family members and community members and board members have all been like part of all of this stuff. Right. And so they're in the final stretch. The administration has put it forward and they're ready to start shifting over the curriculum. And the school board at the last second, thanks to Joan Cullen, who is the ringleader of the right-wing nut jobs, she comes out and basically like derails the entire process and calls for a separate commission or a new committee that will be run basically by her to determine what will be on the curriculum. And so she wants included all these, you know, again, parents got up to speak to them saying, this is a known transphobic person. This is a known misogynistic person that you want on here. This is a known racist. And she's like, oh no, they're just Americans. She's all behind this 1776 commission, which I've been reading about, which is crazy and everything stuff. But anyways, all that got shot to hell. All that attempts to improve the curriculum was shot down by them. Right? And it was by an 8-1 vote. An 8-1 vote. That shows you what this school board is like. And this is not the only one. But this one is particularly off the rails. So once that happened, right, people were already starting to pay attention to the craziness that's happening in Penridge. But after that happened, now the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, right, comes out and like issues a statement, right? That means there's a national organization issuing this statement, right? You know, look, I think it might have been the Pennsylvania-based chapter, but still, it comes out of this organization and is like decries this. It's the NAACP, PA-NAACP comes out once again and says, we can't believe that this is going on in this district, right? Condemning what this choice is. Right? I'm not even going to read the email now that I just got before we went on air that just came in from the school board saying like, we just wanted to include more voices. I don't know what all the upsetness is about people spreading false things on social media and stuff, because we're just like trying to have, you know, make sure everybody's voice is. We want to make sure crazy people are included. We want to make sure that, you know, we want to make sure that racists have their spot. We want to make sure that, you know, if we want someone who wants to come out and say that women should be in the home and never work, they should have their say too, right? That should be in our curriculum. At the end of it, everything can be said as long as the end is like, white people are good and America is good. Go America. Freedom. USA. So whatever. So now again, you know, now I know this from some parents in the district thing. They're starting getting phone calls from like CNN, from some of the national media outlets, because they recognize what the heck's going on here. Right. And they recognize this is a microcosm of what is happening nationally. Right, it's more extreme in this school district than it is in some other places, right? But holy cow, is it off the rails? So we're gonna have more about that in kind of the coming weeks too as well. I know that Cyril is working on some stuff on that too as well.
Yeah, I want to talk about some of the things that are happening elsewhere in Bucks County, just like off the fucking rails. Like, I mean, we've been talking about this over the phone the past couple weeks, but like, the stuff that's happening in the Central Bucks School District, the mask mandates with like roll the dice, like
yep.
I mean, that one Twitter account that popped up, the parody account, Spilled Tea.
Oh my God, it's so good.
It's like, we were joking if that was like Danny Gross doing that work, and she's like, no, it's not. But I mean, it's like, it's also like this stuff isn't just happening in Bucks County. I mean, right. Danny Gross, who does a lot of really good work out in Harrisburg. She's been doing a lot of stuff organizing parents here
Dude, her
in
account is absolutely essential to be following right now because she's been.
Yeah.
I mean, even like she posted something this morning about the Erie, Erie school district. I mean, stuff that's what's happening in local school districts across the state is like she is
And
kind
a
of
lot
like
of
keeping
people-
bringing it together. Yeah.
And people follow her account because of
Yep.
what she does in Harrisburg,
Exactly.
the politics. I mean, she is the co-host of Face the State, I think, or State of the State. One of the Sunday talks out here. I think they get broadcasted on the Sinclair or the CBS networks. She does some. She's on a really good, or she's on ABC 27, but she's on the Dennis Owens. She does some really good. It's a really good political talk show. It's a Sunday show here, Pennsylvania Focus Stop. And no, I mean, like, that's how she was responding in some of these Facebook groups. Oh, well, someone said, oh, well, you should listen to talk radio, like trying to mansplain to her. She's like, well, actually, I work with, I do this, and this, and I'm on Face the State every morning, every Sunday morning at ABC 27. So if you wanted to come listen to hear what I have to say, tune in over here. And just getting like really good responses.
Yeah.
Like people were posting negative stuff, but she was playing with the logarithms and posting like positive feedback to boost the post. And like that's how she got like in contact with a ton of parents who like felt awesome with what you're doing. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, Bucks has been great. Has been off the rails. Her work kind of showing what's happening has been crazy. I
mean, our Dauphin County coroner this week.
Oh my God. Go ahead. Yeah, go for it.
This is why like coroners should be. This is why I think like I also have other opinions about this. The coroner went in front of the Central Dauphin School District, his school district, and was talking about how he knows that COVID was man-made in the lab in Wuhan, but then also the Delta variant was created in a lab in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Of
course it was.
And he has evidence proving that. This is our fucking coroner.
Because Obama.
And then he made some like racist statements how he like traveled through India and he's like, India has a better survival rate. I'll tell you one thing, and maybe because of sanitation, like because India's not a clean country. Just like you're just like watching that was 5 minutes in, and that's when I stopped.
Yeah,
I was like, all right, he's gone over the time limit that he's been given here.
Yeah,
like this is just bullshit.
Holy moly!
But no, like we have, yeah, but I mean, like this is just like we're dealing with the same shit out here in Dauphin County too. So.
It's bad. So we're gonna have some more stuff about the school board stuff. I have this week I mentioned already on Out to Coop Live. We got Kirsten Zolfo is coming on, but we are also. I'm just gonna go check my schedule here too as well. We're on the 13th. So the week after that is Labor Day, and then on the 13th we're going to have the two others school board members from the Penridge School District, who are not school board members. I'm sorry, school board candidates that are running on the Penridge United candidate to try to get some sort of kind of like semblance of balance on this thing. We'll have Dawn Curran and Carolyn Ciarino will be on for the Penridge United slate. We already had Adrian King and David O'Donnell on. So we'll have the other two members of that team that will be on too as well. And, given our last interview with where we were there and then where we are now, I expect that's going to be very interesting. So tune into that. And we're going to be paying a lot of attention to what's happening here in Bucks County because it, like I've been saying now, it really has become a central focus. So let me just say a couple quick things. I'm not going to go completely off the rails myself on this one. But if you've listened to my show on Wednesday, I did a special Out to Coop where I talked about what's happening to one of my colleagues. His name is Steve Oros. He had a heart transplant earlier this year and worked himself back, was able to kind of be able to return to work, but because of the spiking of the COVID, and he is like the CDC defines his situation as being at high risk. He asked, like a month ago, more, say to have his classes shifted to online, right? Because he said, look, this is with my doctors, his doctors are telling him this, the CDC is that risk thing, and he knows that things are spiking. He could die because of this stuff, right? Because of his status. So asked for a kind of specific accommodation, and of course they denied that. And so I don't want to go into the entire thing. But please go back and listen to that one from Wednesday. We're gonna have Steve on the show and next week. We're looking for a time that we can do this recording so that he can tell his own story, so you can hear it more. And he'll tell it far more eloquently than I did. But what I did on Wednesday is give you a little bit more of the context and how this is not the first time that Kutztown has treated people like, garbage, basically. But in the midst of all that, right, so you're finding out that faculty members are being denied accommodations, right, after we're being told to be flexible and to be, innovative and, and be willing to respond in kind of like, to situations with creative ways. Well, they behaved like a rock and basically said, nope, not for you, right, not for you. We also got these emails that, basically saying, we have to find out all the different ways that we can work with students in order to do this. They want us to do all this stuff, right? Look, faculty generally work with students, right? But they want to they re-emphasize, as if we don't do this stuff already, to work with students. But when it comes to us, faculty and staff members, they don't care. They're willing to send us to the slaughter. And I hate to put it like that, but look, everything else that we've been trying to get through, to break through, to point to what's going on, from the reporting that I did years ago about how you got freaking administrators riding staff members like horses, saying giddy up and abusing members of the facilities department, to the firing of an adjunct faculty member and kicking them off the health insurance right as they were about to head into life-saving surgery. I don't know. What else you need to know to give the administration another chance? No. So there you go. So that's going on. We're going to have Steve on. We might have a couple other faculty members too as well might join us. We shall see. But at least I know that Steve's going to come on. But the one thing I want to say is I tend to be kind of negative about the administration at Kutztown. I do my part to help with recruiting efforts, to really, shine. So yes, I've got to go back to Lytle Hall where there's black mold and it took years for them to get to some basic safety precautions. Yes, the police officers at Kutztown University, right, are in offices in the basement of an old building that leaks and has mold on the wall. Yes, faculty members are being forced back to work, right, and putting their own lives at risk. Yes. But the good news is Kutztown University is getting a brand new musical Mallet research center. Yes, that's right. You heard it. I'm serious. I know that. Everybody. I don't know. Anybody I talk to in my neighborhood, people that I know, if you look at the news media, everyone has been calling out, right, for a giant research center devoted to mallets. So Kutztown University broke ground. They got a great picture out there with their brand new silver shovels that they're breaking ground on the Wells Rap Center for Mallet Percussion Research. Yes, indeed. Yes, the facility will be home to KU's growing collection of music and photos and artifacts, along with rare and valuable vintage collection of mallet percussion instruments that have been acquired over 3 decades. And it'll be a 13,250 square foot building, which will include a 2,100 square foot performance space and additional rooms dedicated to each of KU's specialized collections of marimbas, xylophones, vibraphones, bells, steel pans, and chimes. It's amazing. So kudos to Kutztown University for making sure that all the emphasis and you're like laser focus on what's important. Laser focus on those things that are the kind of what people are calling out for. Kudos to the Mallet Museum. Anyways, this is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken Press. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with this week's last call.
Where are my people? Where are my people?
Welcome back, everybody. This is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken, back here once again with Sean Kitchen for this week's last call, which will be kind of a short one, because I got to get out of here pretty soon. And we're here, but Sean, man, what you got going on?
Not a whole lot going on. Really, just like nothing going on this weekend, and really in general, just waiting for the nice weather to get here. It looks like it's going to dip into like the 70s and 80s next week. So just like waiting for this fucking heat to snap.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I'm, I have to say, I'll tell everybody.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say one thing that the reason why I have to get out of here early today is because here I'll show everybody. See this right here? This is a mop. This is a mop.
I didn't realize you had hair.
So I'm actually gonna get a haircut.
I didn't realize. Anyway, was that like the whole entire pandemic?
No. My hair grows fast, so it's like but what's so fun is that yeah. But I've got like, so when I put this like like whatever hair stuff in there, I can make it stand like straight out, right? So I'm gonna do.
I use some product. Congratulations.
Yeah. But I'm gonna do just like a shorter version of what I've got right now.
It's like The Simpsons.
So no, it's not like that. But it goes like straight. It's like Bonzo the Clown, right? That's more than anything else. So that I can show up at work sometimes when we have some administrative meeting. I'll just have my hair like spiked straight. I'm like, hey,
he's finally gone mad.
I'm here for the meeting. Anyways, yeah. So I'm go for it.
Okay, what was that?
No, nothing. Go ahead.
I got nothing going on. I think I'm gonna go to the market after this. I just don't feel like cooking today, and I'm in the mood for like a burrito before it starts pouring. So
before it's up, and like it gives you like plenty of time to I don't know, leaf through a special little book that you got going on, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I don't have that up on my computer screen now, but
no, but still, I think you guys got to plug it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So one of my I got something cool. I think I'm gonna be able to get the book and a couple of prints sold in a local coffee shop.
Yeah.
In the next month or two, which is great. I'm just looking for extra ways to draw in income, and I think selling some prints is a good way. Like, do like the artists used to do, like, I need money. Here's 20 prints.
Yeah, Sean, I think the kids are calling that a side hustle now. I know. I mean, once you break the 40-year mark, it gets a little, sometimes the lingo it gets a little tough, but it
is like, but no, I mean, like, it is hilarious though. Like, I don't consider what I do though, the stuff I do is side hustles, like, because I don't know. I mean, it's
all like synergy, right?
It's all linked together.
It's all like, it's all synergy.
Yeah. So
with you at the center, of course.
Exactly. Everything revolves around me. No, but I don't consider like the photography stuff. I don't know, because I do a lot of it for work and all.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just like all the free time I have. It's just an extra favor for people at times.
You just doing a little extra. I'm really doing this not for me. I'm doing it for you. Right? I'm providing you with a reflection upon Harrisburg that allows you to experience the full beauty of this town. That's the same reason why I show you my cooking, my pictures of my cooking. I'm not doing that for me. I'm doing that for you.
Oh, speaking of cooking, I made my bolognese sauce last week. My parents got me a lasagna cookbook for Christmas last year, and a lasagna pan. So I haven't used it yet to make lasagna. I think what I'm going to do is make a bolognese flavored lasagna next year, or in the fall or like winter, like a bechamel.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Using the cheesy bechamel to like top it off.
I like it.
Put some like habanero powder in there. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing else going on. Still haven't worked on the website at all. Procrastinating on that.
Yeah,
which is great. We got some fun stuff coming out with Spotlight over the next week or so. So I definitely
keep your eyes peeled, everybody. Ears to the ground, nose to the grindstone. It's coming out.
But Yeah,
Yeah.
should be fun.
Well, I go back to in-person classes on Monday. So I will be heading back into the belly of the beast, Kutztown University, where I will make myself as popular a person as I possibly can, given everything that's going on. And I'm sure that I'm going to make lots of friends this year. And I just hope that everything's going to go well and I don't get sick. So we shall see, you know? Roll the dice. So
It is amazing how we're just like fucking doing this right now, like in the middle of like a surge.
Yeah, let's be clear. Kutztown University, they do have a mask mandate, but there is no contact tracing, no mandatory testing, no proof of vaccination status to anybody, right? No requirement to notify people that you have COVID, right? Nope. Just honor system. Because we know how well that's worked so far, right? Excellent. So anyways, that's my fun. Yeah. Now you're starting to feel what I'm feeling, Sean, right there. All right, good. All right,
you got me snoring over here just from like laughing.
Oh my God, I know. All right, so listen, I got to get out of here, but listen, everybody, thank you for tuning in today. Thank you to Emily, thank you to David for checking us out, and joining in the chat today. I really appreciate it. We've got some great stuff. Again, I want to remind everybody that on Monday, we've got Kirsten Zolfo will be on. We're talking about Brian Fitzpatrick's kind of record and history in PA1 that's in Bucks County. And we'll see what's going to happen next Wednesday. Next Wednesday show may be with Steve Oros if we can get it recorded ahead of time. But we shall see. I'll keep you posted on that too as well. But I hope we'll see you back on Monday and to see you back right here in this seat next Friday. All right, this is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken. It's been a pleasure hanging out, everybody. Look forward to seeing you soon. Sean, man, have a good weekend. Stay safe. Have fun. And let's hope the weather does break, just like you said. I'm telling you, I'm keeping my fingers crossed like this all the time because it's been a beast. All right, this is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken. We'll be out of here. See ya!